watched the tractor trailer juke around in that.
Joe's not coming?
I think he was coming down township
Virtual. He
line,
was going on Zoom, but I don't.
and he wanted to go right, or go straight, and then he realized he couldn't, so he's back and forth jockeying it through that intersection. It's like, holy Jesus. Not good.
Joe's trying to join now.
Okay.
Mine says 7:01, yours says 7 o'clock, this is at 6:59.
Don't press that.
No?
T-Mobile says it's 7.
That was,
Is he there?
was that the call button, emergency?
Yeah,
Don't think so yet.
I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to dangle there.
Is this the only one?
Do we
No,
want to,
there's,
Everyone has one?
no,
what's that?
no, just,
Oh,
Oh, don't push it.
Don't push it.
yeah, I already told her.
That's the alarm.
Yeah.
we're gonna get started without Joe, or we're gonna wait?
Like it came
I think we're good. There's nothing, and he may be needed halfway through the meeting, but nothing to that point.
All right,
Kind of like a bank teller, you know?
great. I'd like to call the April 2nd East Allen Township Planning Commission meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you got the heat running now. Whew.
Too hot now?
Okay. First item on the agenda, roll call, please.
Mr. Chamberlain?
Here?
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mr. Hemming?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here. Item 2, public comment, limited to 3 minutes on the agenda items only. Let the record reflect there's no comments. Moving on to item 3, approval of minutes from the March 5th, 2026 meeting. Questions or comments, gentlemen?
One comment, in Business Authority Commission, item B, it's a nit, but if somebody reads this, they might get the wrong idea. It says, the building is a machine shop for local 500 companies.
Yeah,
I think it was Fortune
Fortune
500.
500.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to think we were talking about 500 companies.
Okay.
That was my only comment on those minutes.
We have a comment by Marty. Any other comments or questions? I'm gonna make a motion to accept the minutes with the update reflecting adding Fortune to 500.
So moved.
Have a motion,
Second?
a motion by Marty, a second by Art. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Hemming?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes, let the record reflect the motion passed 4 votes to none. Moving on to business before the Planning Commission. The first item is saldo 2026-005. It's a 6099 Airport Road Preliminary Land Development Plan review. Do we have the applicant? So Norm just arrived.
Oh, okay.
So do we add Norm
We'll show him that he's
Okay.
present.
after the approval of the minutes?
Yes, yeah, every other motion after will include.
Right. Is the applicant present for the Airport Road Preliminary Land Development Plan?
Yes, we are.
Would you like to come up to the table, state your names and addresses for the record, please?
Michael Pavoulis, 4602 Susan Drive, Bethlehem.
Kevin Fenstermacher, 17 Country Road, Northampton.
Roderick Trumbull, civil engineer, 3506 Sunnyside Road in Center Valley.
All right. So we have the plans you submitted, and the goal tonight is to accept them as being administratively complete, and then answer any questions or offer any comments that we might have. Is that how you understand?
Yes.
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 All right. I have a motion, before we start discussion on this plan, do I have a motion to administratively accept this plan as complete?
Also move.
We have a motion by Tom,
I'll second.
and a second by Art. Roll call, please.
Mr. Daniel?
Come back to me.
Mr. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Hemming?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes?
Mr. Daniel?
Yes. Let the record reflect the motion passed 5 votes to none. Okay. So there was a preliminary letter, very brief, from Hanover Engineering. Gentlemen, have any questions or comments about the board, planning commission?
I'm assuming you submitted this as a preliminary final plan.
Correct.
So how we handle that, you would submit a waiver request for that. I think generally the planning commission today can say they're good with it, and then we'll have to go to the board and have them entertain that. And then the review will be for a preliminary final, so look at everything, just so that you're aware of that
Okay.
process. Because we don't come out and let you go to final right away. So you would ask for the waiver. Is there any concerns from the planning commission on doing that?
Do the process?
Yeah.
That's our process.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Jill?
No.
I mean, we addressed that as part of the discussion on the waiver, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you did you submit waiver requests with your original application?
Yes, I thought I did.
You may have. If that was not included, we just
Yeah, I
would
don't
have
think
you
that was
amend
one
it.
of the waivers included.
I can update the waiver request letter and get it back to you.
That works.
Okay.
And then they can vote on it at the next meeting with the review letter from the engineer, and if there's any waivers that they want to grant at that time.
So did you have anything for us? Did you have any questions or anything for us?
One
We did.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go, you want to go first, Mike?
No, I was gonna say we did not, but
Oh.
you obviously.
Received an email about a wire for the saldo fee, is that, accurate? Wires are a little
No.
suspicious when it comes to me.
So if you receive some correspondence, if you can just print it off, you will not get a fee from us until you go to the improvement stage.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're gonna submit at the application, and we only do checks. We don't do wires, ACHs, anything like that. So we had another developer go in, I think they got it off our Facebook page, and they came up with something that was suspicious, so you will not get anything from us of that unless you have an escrow replenishment, and you would get a copy of the invoices from the engineer and the attorney reviewing it with that, so.
Thanks
And
for
that's
clarifying
usually
that, because
mailed, yeah,
at first, you know,
yeah, always
it
check on
looked
that.
legit, and before the meeting tonight, and then that's when we put on the brakes and said,
Yeah, we will notify the other applicants that are on this agenda.
thank you.
Good question.
Yeah, we don't have any planning administrative, because I think that's what it was signed as, so
Yeah.
that doesn't exist.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't turn around.
Mhm.
Wow.
Keep your guard up.
Yeah, you have no choice. So I have a couple questions for you guys.
Sure.
So you guys were here back, I think it was in 22. You submitted a sketch plan or something.
Correct.
But it was only 2 buildings, I think, instead of 3. It might, adding up 2 buildings, you're adding what, how many buildings?
Adding two, one's existing already.
Right. I
So,
think before
I think
you were
at
adding
one
1
point-
building.
Yeah.
And that, okay, now you are not, or you are, this property in the west side of it, the home, that's going to stay existing? Or
6093 Airport Road, yes.
The home that we own, yes.
That's what I
You
thought.
you
Yes,
do own that.
yes.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
Right,
Yeah.
I thought, that's what I kinda remembered,
Yeah.
you were owning that property,
Right.
that home, okay.
Is it currently leased out or rented or?
Yes.
Okay. So the renter is well aware of what is going on in this property
Yes.
that surrounds them, basically?
Yeah.
We
Okay.
mentioned it in when we were talking to them.
Yeah, what kind of impact?
So this is
Yeah,
just maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. So we we rent it to a Pennsylvania agency that houses older, very autistic people. So they like the privacy, that's why they chose it.
It's way off the road,
back. They
yeah.
don't want anybody bothering them, because they have nurses there, so I think, in my opinion, this will just make it even more private, so just
Okay.
throwing it out there.
Plus it's encapsulated with trees and, you know, in that little acre area, so. I mean, we discussed too about possibly, putting up some barbs and protect it more, but, you know, that's pre-discussions, we didn't confirm that yet.
Yeah, we'll defer to our engineers to determine what needs to be done.
I would think depending on the capability of the residents at that home, if it's like, my wife worked for somebody called Life Path, where they had those kind of homes for different types of individuals, whether they had physical handicaps or mental handicaps, some kind of potential, for safety purposes, some type of barrier between the home and your business, so that you don't end up with potential liability issues of somebody wandering onto your property where your business is operating, or something to that effect, maybe.
Well, they do have 24/7 nurses there, that's,
Okay, okay,
they're safe.
You don't really ever see them outside,
okay.
but, to your point, yes, I mean, we're talking about situations where we can build a better barrier, but
And I think when we talked about this the first time, you own the driveway coming off of Airport Road. But that driveway also serves another residence, that they would have to have access, if I recall, they have to have access on that driveway, so there would have to be some kind of agreement or something between them and you, so that they could use that driveway?
yeah. That's the hairy part right from the beginning. We didn't know, like, who is more responsible, who's less responsible. Is it a 50-50 way street there, just with maintaining and upkeeping and
Right.
everything in that nature? Now, we know that, you know, we're gonna be making the road wider for accommodations for, the state road
Right, for PennDOT,
and,
yeah.
yeah, for PennDOT, so,
Well, it's your driveway. You granting them an easement to use it, is what I believe, because that's your lot, goes all the way out
Yeah.
So I
to
had,
Airport Road.
I had it looked into, I spoke to Yvonne over at Hanover before she retired,
Okay,
many years ago, and the house in question has a entrance on behind the house, but they chose not to use it. That's the way it was, I
so
guess,
there was like an easement.
an easement back there for them, and they decided to use the driveway, and the previous owner, I guess, allowed them to,
okay.
so. But there is other access, I don't know if it's openly available, that's,
I think we're gonna wanna see some memorialization of an agreement and who's responsible for what. And we're not gonna dictate that you're 100% responsible, that's up to you and the property owner that needs the access. But typically, in the past, you would hire an attorney and communicate with them and come up with whoever, if you're gonna be responsible for maintenance, and then come up with a plan for if it needs to be repaired, or if they're gonna go back to using that other access point. That's really up to you to decide on how you wanna proceed. We wouldn't necessarily,
Right, right.
I mean, I think our opinion is we don't like shared driveways, because what happens, and they don't see it, but Angela and I and Jill see it, the people come in, and as soon as you stop maintaining it, or snow plowing, or parking, cause you're having parties, or your trucks are going too fast, people are gonna come in and file complaints, and then we have to figure out what to do with it. So we just wanna have an agreement that states out who's responsible for what, who owns what, and, as long as we have that for recording, I think we're generally good.
Yeah, I don't think they have access, or frontage on Airport Road. So I think that they're a landlocked piece of
Yeah.
property.
They are.
So, I mean, our solicitor, I think, is on here virtually, but I think if they don't have access or frontage on the roadway and they're currently have access through your property, I don't know if you can necessarily say that they
Yeah.
can't use that property or that.
Yeah, Jill,
access.
they would have an easement by necessity.
Yeah. But to Brent's point, you know, whatever the agreement is, you know, between you and that property owner is a private between
Yep.
the two parties.
I guess for the legal status too, like, you know, if something would happen right on that roadway, if they would come out and slip on that roadway, can they come after us? Where, back to your point, there should be some sort of written agreement where we're all understanding and covering ourselves as
We're
well.
gonna require you to do that as
Yes.
part of this
Yeah, so
project.
I think we would generally have a hold harmless and indemnification for you, for the township, so they're not coming after us, but then you guys have to have one individually for each other if something was there. So I don't know if you have a solicitor or an attorney that does work for you, they can certainly answer that and go through.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's always the potential for liability and lawsuits, so that's where these agreements, they're not foolproof, but it at least cleans up that issue.
And I think Joe will, the solicitor will say too, that if you want to, we prefer to have the draft agreement submitted to the township to review by the solicitor, just to make sure
Yeah.
we think it's complete.
Correct, yeah, don't execute anything prior to us
Right.
reviewing and consenting that it's okay, and so.
Art's showing an aerial picture of this on his phone here, and it does look like there is access to the rear,
Yeah, but not along Airport Road, right?
right here.
What's that?
Loops way around.
So,
It comes here and comes back
Yeah, I
out.
think that's a paper street. I don't think that pavement goes all the way through. Because I did think so too when I looked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that will need to be,
yeah.
Shows some
What we
sort
were
of
told by the
concept.
previous owner, I guess that easement that they used to utilize all the time was eliminated when they added on to the house. So I don't know if it was the garage that they added on or what, we weren't there prior to that, so if they added on the garage and eliminated their access, that's, the main reason why they're coming in on our road now.
all right?
So as far as the two proposed buildings, do you want to just discuss like what's currently the use of the existing building and what's going to be the use of the two proposed buildings?
I'm sorry. Get out of my head.
Kevin's gonna use I'll let him speak to details, but he uses the existing building to put equipment for his business. I have a property maintenance / light contracting business that I need a building for, to store materials, drywall, studs, wood, tools, things of that nature. So for me, and my partner, we have some real estate that we take care of, so that and other customers for maintenance, so that's what I need it for.
So there's two separate entities on the property and you're going to be leasing?
Yes, so I own a
Some of it?
concrete masonry business.
Okay.
So everything under the realm of concrete masonry products and stuff is what I store at the property. But there's gonna be no fuel tanks, we agreed upon that, no fuel tanks. The only other thing that I could think of is if eventually heat in the place, we gotta talk about if that's gonna be electric or whatever, but
So Kevin and I own the property, he has his business, I have my
Oh, you
business.
both
Our
own it.
businesses will pay rent to our,
KYP
Partnership.
DSL.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So it's basically contractor's office is what you're proposing.
Correct,
exactly.
With some storage of product.
yes.
How much and what nature is the current and proposed storage of product outside?
So, as far as to your question, how, as far, I'm not understanding the question.
Well, you said you store masonry products and stuff.
Yes.
Is that stored outside?
No, so like the Portland lime, I only keep like 2-3 pallets at a time, that would be all
Yeah,
inside,
of course,
because
it's
obviously you
gonna be
can't be
inside.
outside.
But in
Now,
terms of,
like that, like,
pavers and stuff like
yeah,
that?
pavers or brick or CMUs, like that would be on a pallet staged outside the building, if we're gonna make a little canopy or whatever, but stuff like that can go outside, scaffold, stuff like that in that nature would be outdoors.
Would you be representing those planned storage areas on the plan?
I think we would be requiring you to.
Okay.
Yeah, just show where they're at, so we can make sure they comply with whatever sections we have.
And
There is
and the
some
nature
outdoor
of them to
storage.
know whether they're impervious coverage or not, and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Okay,
That's kind of where I was getting.
okay.
Thanks.
Like right now, I've driven by your property and I actually wanted to go on it today, but I kept going past the driveway,
Most people do.
twice. I've been back there when you guys came before us the first time, just to look around, I try to understand what the owners are trying to do, get a look at what's happening. Whenever we do something like this, I try to drive around the different properties and things just so I can see what's happening. It appears as if there's a lot of concrete debris, I don't know what else to call it, where you have a parking area here, in front of the existing building.
Yeah.
Is that something that will be there like on a regular routine kind of a basis? Is that?
No, that's all product that I actually, through my jobs and grinding down at the Westgate Mall, that's all product that's eventually gonna be in our roadway. So,
You recycle
yes,
concrete?
that particular pile that you're talking about is gonna be recycled for the driveway going in there,
Okay,
yes.
but is that part of your business, recycling that?
No.
Oh, okay,
No, that's specifically a stockpile.
okay.
When we get to go ahead,
So you're not gonna be grinding on this
No.
property, or
No.
it's just strictly storage?
no, it's not gonna be like an aggregate place that we
Mhm.
recycle, no.
Okay.
It's just-
Is there gonna
it's
be a?
waiting patiently.
Are you gonna have employees there, like an office or anything like that?
So I'm gonna have an office for myself, but my employees know,
Okay.
and my employees, most of the time, take the vehicles home with them, so,
Okay,
right now, I'm running 5 employees, but, as far as the traffic in and out, it's minor
right.
because of the fact of, once we branch off from the job site, everybody goes home.
Yeah, because I'm wondering about, like, bathroom facilities and things like that might be required or not.
Well, we do have plans for bathrooms in each of them, that's why
Oh,
we
you do?
had the
Okay.
perk testing done and the infiltration testing for the stormwater, so we ironed all that stuff out prior to this.
Okay. Okay.
How many, vehicles do you see using this in a day? Trips, as it could potentially impact, obviously, the traffic on Airport Road and or people coming in and out of the site, and getting on, because I can tell you right now, and I'm sure you guys are aware of it, the volume of traffic on Airport Road is pretty heavy duty.
Yeah.
And when the lights release, sometimes it gets to be almost impossible to get out onto that road. So, I mean, I don't think there's gonna be any I don't know, if traffic study is probably not gonna be required for this, there probably won't be that much volume.
I would say not, because there's 2 lights right in between that area there. To put another light would be, you wanna talk about a traffic jam, that's gonna be ridiculous, but, and even a stop sign, so, like, to your point, I mean, that's bumper to bumper until that
Yeah.
light turns and then
Yeah.
goes from there, but, I mean, honestly, like, from my standpoint right now, when they would bring the vehicles back, I mean, maybe 3 in the morning, 3 at 4:30, 5 o'clock is my average. Pick up material, drop material off.
Yeah, mine would be even less, I mean, it's just me and my partner. Sometimes I'll send my kid over there to get something, but, I mean, maybe 4 times a week at that. But sometimes more if we're working on a job, if not, we might not visit for over a week.
So did you say you are planning on doing improvements to the driveway at Airport Road and getting a PennDOT permit?
Yes.
Okay,
We submitted an application for an unused driveway.
okay.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Not for this session.
Would there be any benefit, Jill, I know this is a gravel driveway. Would there be any benefit to have a portion of it paved just before Airport Road, just to keep the gravel off of Airport?
I think our ordinance does require it to be paved, driveway and parking areas to be paved.
The entire,
Yeah, and we'll
Length of
double
it.
check that in
I
the
think
review.
the access drive and the parking areas must be paved, but the storage areas or anything that's not required, I believe there's some flexibility.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if they have a lay down area for their
where
outside
they're putting
storage,
pallets
that
in.
wouldn't have to be paved but I'm pretty sure the driveway and parking areas have to be paved.
Now, right
Because they have to
adjacent,
be striped.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry
go
for
ahead.
that. Right adjacent to our property, that Adams Lane, now, there's no paving going in there to the recycling plant, so
Because
Probably a
that is a
existing-
private road,
that's a private road?
that is not a township road.
Yeah,
But
so,
it's also
so-
probably an existing condition that we're not reviewing in accordance with the ordinances as we're doing your plan.
yeah, most of the buildings in there were built prior to zoning in Saldo. So, and it's private ownership. So for that road, it's been there, but if anybody came in off of that and wanted to develop, we would most likely require them. I know we did make some paving improvements on the one property, they were doing a small expansion, but it wasn't a new building. So if somebody came in at that point, they would have to come in and
Is there
improve it.
a minimum distance from Airport Road back for the paving?
It's
If
your
we
whole, your whole
I think it's gonna
access
be the whole-
drive and your
Yeah, anything for
parking.
the access drive and your minimum required would have to be paved. So it's not like it's just 100 feet off the road and then you can have it whatever.
So they
I
go all the
think-
way back to the house?
Yeah, I think for residential, it's up to your building restriction
Correct.
line, but for a commercial, a non-residential, it's paved and paved parking areas.
His question that he asked about the house, would that include them back to the house?
That we can look at to see if it would just have to be paid for the commercial business, and once it continues for the residential, that may be able to stay in gravel, because it's being used for residential.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, they can always go for a variance too and seek relief, but I think the zoning requires, it's not Saldo per se.
Yeah.
So that would be for the zoning hearing board.
All right. Just a general question, so the very front corner and part of the driveway is Hanover. At what point do we go to them and present? Because I was told, again, by Vaughn, who's retired, to wait until you guys give approval and then approach them. Is that how it works, or?
So how we typically handle it is the same submission that you would make for us, you would make there. Now, you may be able to ask for a request for a waiver of land development, and they may grant it. I can't tell you how to proceed, but that,
Okay.
you're either gonna seek a waiver, or you're gonna make an application, and then they would be on the plans. We would copy our reviews to them, they would copy their reviews to us. But I know we, years ago, had that discussion on how to handle this, as well as there's a house being built where they wanted to put the septic system in East Allen, but the home was in Hanover. We would just go and coordinate reviews with that. I mean, I can't see what their board would want to review with this, other than a driveway, but they may require you to do land development for that little section. I don't know. I would try reaching out to their manager and their zoning officer again and seeing what their thoughts are and how to proceed.
Thank you.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Are you gonna put any plantings behind that one building right in front of the house?
They may be required to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably gonna need to be some type of buffer screening because of the
Some
fact that
kind of
it's commercial and
shrubbery there to-
residential. Yeah.
Right.
Block the building from the house.
Right, like I said, there's trees right now, but there's voids where, we could accommodate that.
Yeah, I think that'd be the right thing to do.
Right.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We look forward
Thank
to
you for
seeing
your time.
back again.
Have a good evening, thank you.
So we'll be doing the full review for discussion at the May Planning Commission meeting. Yep.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, Saldo 2025-007 Keystone Cement Site Plan Review for storage tanks. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Tim Anderson, counsel for Keystone Cement, 100 Market Street, Harrisburg.
Hi, Christopher 27 Mock Chunk Street in Nasby.
So we're here, the supervisors, I understand, have waived land development, and so we're here for site plan approval. We're asking that the Planning Commission approve or recommend approval of the site plan, subject to the township engineer's comments, on which we need a little bit of clarification, but I think we'll get there. For further action, I think the next step would be by the zoning officer. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
And that would be the correct process.
Yeah, and by the way, Chris Madden, so he'll answer the questions and.
Gentlemen, questions or comments? Jill, as well?
No, I think one of your clarifications requested was about the lighting.
That's correct.
Okay, so your plan stated all additional lighting shall conform to the regulations and requirements of the construction code. So I think my comment is that if you're proposing new lighting, well, actually, you should show all existing lighting in that area and any proposed lighting. And then you should be showing like the type of lighting and your schematic layout. Make model, like your footprint, to show like how it's being illuminated.
Okay. I guess for specific level of detail, there need anything like lumens type of light?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what
whatever,
we're saying.
whatever you would be supplying for the building permit, just include with this, so that way you already have that work done. But just the second page or third page of this would just have the locations or the photometrics of where you're lighting and how it's typed, and then the spec of the light, what brand, lumens, wattage, how it's gonna be tied in. But we just wanna make sure it conforms with the UCC code as well as zoning. I don't think you'll be able to see it, so it's not an issue. Is the lighting actually shown on the plan, or is it just a note?
It's not shown, that
No,
was the,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, if you can just show, like a general, I mean, you don't have to go out and re-engineer it, but just provide something that overlays, that shows that location of it. And we're only looking at the new lighting, not existing or what's there today.
we should at least show what the existing lighting is, so we can look at where the existing lighting is and look at comparison to the proposed lighting. I think you had maybe one or two being relocated lights.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I meant the whole site.
Yeah, not for the whole
yeah.
project, yeah,
Yeah,
just
the
for
area of
your
the
tank
project
area,
area.
just the
Right,
tank
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
we're
you're
existing
defining
tank
as
1A,
your
1B, 2,
project
3.
area is where you should show lighting, especially if you're showing to be relocated to new location for the lights.
Okay. I think all the other comments are pretty straightforward. We're ready to prepare those plans and submit them once they're ready.
Now, I think we did talk about this when you guys came in for the waiver request. Do you have permits with DEP already for the holding tank storage?
That's correct.
Can you just copy those with your resubmission, just so we have them for our records of how the containment is?
Okay. What part of that would you like us to send to you?
If you want to just do a PDF and email the whole thing, and then we'll just keep it with it.
Like the permit itself?
The permit, but probably the actual specs of what the containment system is, if there's emergency shut-offs or anything of that nature. I don't know.
A lot of documents, like a large document with the permit?
Yeah, the application's 2,200 pages. Now, obviously, not all of that is part
Yeah,
of what you're looking for, but
I mean, it doesn't hurt if you just want to send us an email or a Dropbox file with it,
all right.
unless there's something that you don't want shared out of it, but just so that we have it for pre-planning, and I'm sure it's part of your tier 2 reporting and some of the other stuff anyway that we have, so just so we have that. Yeah, I don't think we need hard copies of that, so don't print out and give us a binder of that. So, we just want
Binders.
yeah, binders. We have enough boxes of Keystone cement in this building. It's turning into our foundation of this building.
All right.
I was just gonna ask how, where
So when you do your electronic submission, if you do a CD, or if you just wanna email it to the info or call the office and talk with Angela, not tomorrow, but Monday, there's no hurry on that, but whatever you're gonna, if you're making a plan markup, and when you send those, you can just send them the same way.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
There was I recall a railroad spur or railroad part of this plan too?
That's
That's
this
gone
spot,
now?
I don't think.
Well, I think they've broken it into two parts.
Well, it's gonna be two parts, okay.
So that part, I think they said they were gonna look at potentially doing land development for and coming in, or
okay.
deciding if they wanted to ask again for site plan.
I was kinda wondering what happened to it.
I think the
that's all.
tanks were kind of the more urgent thing, because I think the age of, I think two of them, and they wanna replace them, so.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, good.
Any other questions or comments? Somebody wanna make a recommendation to?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
Zoning officer.
Zoning
Zoning
officer,
officer for this
sorry. Recommend the zoning officer approval of the request,
Issue the permit.
issue the permits, contingent on satisfaction of the items in the March 27th, 26th review letter from Hanover Engineering, and that they show existing as well as the proposed and to be moved lights in the area of the tank replacement project.
And lighting details, but yes.
Yes, and lighting details.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Marty,
I'll second.
and second by Tom. Roll call, please.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Hemming?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes. Let the record reflect the motion passed 5 votes to none.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Right.
I'll get better at motions, you know, once I get.
You're very good. You're very good at motions.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, that was real good.
I was taking notes too, so.
Oh, next time, I'm gonna let you do it.
Well, it gets thrown back at me when no one wants to do it anyway, so.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Good
great
night.
night. All right, moving on to the next item, continuation discussion on the planning commission bylaws.
So you do not have hard copies. If you want hard copies, we can print them off. I did upload them today. They're not for you to entertain tonight, but you can take a look at them. They address all the comments that I think we were talking about with the duties, the agendas, going through the responsibilities. Basically the framework, it's really gonna be for a new member,
Right.
that they know what we're doing. So we can review those, and then the next steps after if you're good in May, we would recommend those go to the board just for comment, and then you guys can vote on them in June.
This is in diligent.
It is in diligent, and I can email them out separate too, if that is
Yeah,
more helpful.
where in diligent are they?
It's underneath the item,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
they're on the.
Yeah,
in today's
yeah.
meeting.
Yep,
Yep.
I got it.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. And we can use it for, if we need to replace a person, it gives somebody something to look at and say, oh, so this is what you guys do. This
Correct.
is what the expectations are.
Correct, and
As
if-
well as new people. that once they
As you
come on
guys
board.
end your terms and decide not to get reappointed or
Right.
leave, that you can go out and, it gives a framework for those people that are joining,
Yep.
so.
All right, moving on to the next item, continuation on discussion of zoning ordinance amendment.
So there's two things. The first is you have a draft of the data center ordinance. We're not gonna discuss it tonight. We have 45 days. We'll discuss it at the next meeting. But today we'll start the 45-day clock for the submission. And then the board will be able to have a hearing. It's, I think, 16 pages long. But what this does is takes the existing zoning ordinance and adds criteria for data centers within the township. It only allows them in the extractive industrial zoning district, which is basically the area of Keystone Cement, where heavy industrial is permitted only. And it puts standards such as noise, or sound in this case, lighting, just general pollution. It requires public water and sewer. It does not allow for on-lot. We went through several different drafts of various data center ordinances. I think we used Paradise Township. We had one from Middle Smithfield Township. We had one from Palmer Township, one from, South Whitehall Township, so it's kind of a combination of it. I think it's probably more comprehensive than most, but, generally, it requires a minimum of 10 acres, maximum building height 50, cannot be within 150 feet of a lot line for a structure or 200 feet of a dwelling, and needs public water and sewer. And then there's a whole list of conditions that they would have to meet as part of a conditional use. So, if you have any questions in the meantime, you can certainly reach out. Otherwise, we'll do a little snippet of a presentation for the next meeting, so everybody has time.
Has the LVPC drafted a model ordinance?
They have not, I think they've had sessions on dealing with various land uses and going out. There is a Penn Future model ordinance that's been out there, but it's not as comprehensive as the one that they did for logistics centers. So I think we took a lot of different things that aren't included in a lot, like access management we looked at. The berming requirements, I think, are more extensive than some of the others. Sound mitigation was probably the same as what you're seeing. Same with the nuisance, the environmental controls. But we also added fire protection as requirements and aesthetics of the building, which is pretty much in all of them, as well as emergency management planning. So the emergency management and fire design stuff is not in any of the other ordinances that I'm aware of. So there's certain things they have to incorporate in their building to better prepare first responders that would respond to an emergency there, just because of how they're usually laid out and the size of them, that what you see. You don't really see a lot of 10,000 square foot data centers. You're seeing more like the warehousing trend of 200 to a million.
Hyperscale.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But we did not use the Allen Township data center ordinance as anything in ours.
Where if it's a warehouse, it's a data center.
They are converting a warehouse to a data center in Allen Township.
Does Allen have a data center ordinance?
I don't think so.
So that's why they're converting.
So I think that it's a combination. I have not looked at the particulars of it, but I believe it was an unmarketable warehouse, and they came in and said, hey, can you consider this? And I think obviously they probably, like most municipalities as of today, do not have regulations, and it was probably, hey, we want to work this out. I don't know that for certain, but.
I would think the exterior of the facility, it shouldn't be substantially different than what we require for logistics and distribution, as far as berms and things like that.
Correct.
And setbacks. Obviously, there's some hazard firefighting considerations, but I wouldn't recommend anything stricter exterior-wise than we do for warehouses.
To the extent that the berming and other barriers help with the sound mitigation, that's a big deal, because, they're very loud.
Yes.
Well, we
Cooling and things for the data center.
How
have
loud
looked
are
at.
How loud are they?
What?
Well,
How?
they're generally louder than a warehouse because of the cooling systems
Yeah.
and the technology used in
Well,
them,
and-
unless you have cold storage or something of that nature.
And potentially the on-site power generation.
Yeah, some of that stuff.
They can be extremely loud depending on the configuration.
But
But instead of specifying how they should mitigate the noise, just say, this is the maximum noise you're allowed, figure out a way to do it.
Well-
Instead of telling them what to do, especially if it doesn't work.
yeah, so that what they have, we do have that. A lot of this is actually gonna play into the second part of the discussion, but the draft is basically geared towards our new zoning ordinance, where a lot of these things are already considered for other land uses now. So it's not, it seems like it's a lot for this one use, but when you look at that new ordinance that's being proposed and being finalized, it's gonna blend in with all of the heavier industrial or light industrial buildings that could have this. And some of this stuff came out of Bright Farms when we talked about their exhaust fans for greenhouses. So we have a burden on them to meet in a conditional use or a special exception, that they have to meet these minimum standards. They have to present it on how they're gonna meet it, or if it's not applicable, then the board can decide, whichever board it is, if this is actually true that this is not an issue, or if it is an issue, they've met it, or they need to do more, and we're gonna impose additional conditions to correct it. So it's similar to what you're saying now. It's not saying that they have to do noise reduction systems on each exhaust vent and have a certain specification to it. It just basically says you shouldn't hear it from the property line.
And I will tell you, these companies will do as little as they possibly have to build what they wanna build and spend as little money as they want. And then I'll never forget this, when they wanted to build 2.5 million square foot warehouses next to my property. At the meeting here, I got up and I said, I'm gonna regret this, and I said, you know what? We don't wanna hear you, we don't wanna know you're there. If you can deal with that, so we don't hear you and don't know you're there, I said, I would be the first one to welcome you into the community as a new neighbor. I guarantee you that's not what they want to do. They don't want to do that. They wanna spend as little as money as possible to get through what they wanna get through. And unless you put those some kind of limits on them, they're gonna, there's gonna be problems. So it's kind of a 50-50. You can't let them do what they want, but you gotta put some, but you can't overburden them either. You don't wanna do that either, so it's a give and take kind of a thing. Anyway, all right.
And then the only other part is you should have received a draft of the zoning ordinance. It's not the final draft, so you're gonna notice some section numbers. If you wanna take a look at it, the specific criteria is pretty much generally complete, as well as some of the sections. I didn't go in and do the fine tuning on the numbers, just because at this point, if we're changing it, I'm not gonna keep changing numbers back and forth. And it is a new format. I did receive comments from Art and Bob and Steve Dellinger, so I'm incorporating those on. I will be sending out a draft probably early next week to everybody, and then you will have a complete ordinance probably by the May meeting.
How are you sending it out?
It'll just be a separate email. If you want hard copies of it, we can do hard copies for those that are interested, if there's certain sections. I do have some comments that we'll have to go through, and there is gonna be some discussion we'll have to have with the planning commission and the board of supervisors as we move forward with it, referring to lot sizes, lot minimums, how we wanna really deal with it, and then are we being too aggressive on some of it, or are we being not enough? But I think we had a lot of good comments from everybody so far, so it's just a matter now of making one document that everybody can look at, and
The point is, everybody has a copy of it now, what you're saying, but they're gonna get a new copy.
you will get a new copy with those comments. So if you have anything that you've looked at, certainly let me know, otherwise you'll be getting a final copy.
Sometime next week, or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Gee, looking forward to that one.
Well, there's gonna be two of them. There's gonna be a clean one, and then there's gonna be the one with the markups addressed with the changes. So you should just be able to go through the one with the markups and say, oh yeah, he added what he told me, or what I added here. So don't spend too much time going through it. But no, it's really, procedural wise, I think the first couple articles we've already done as a group, and we're good. It's now just the specific criterias, accessory uses, and how we're handling the definitions
Is
of
it still
things.
gonna be color coded? Green, blue, and black?
The green on the tracking will be, the new one will have everything deleted, so you're gonna see the final. There's gonna be two versions. One will have tracking with color coding.
Right.
One is just gonna be a black document in
Okay.
final format.
So on the one that's got the corrections on it, the green, blue, and black have meanings. The black
Correct.
is, it's existing, we've done it. The blue is, new,
New.
and the green is, we've already reviewed it all.
Correct.
It's new,
And
but
then
we've reviewed it.
red has been added or changed, and depending on how the editing went from the people involved, tracking showing with strikeouts, or it's an actual strikeout, not the tracking, so. But
It's only 400 and some pages, so,
it's easy reading at night.
yeah.
You can keep your eyes
Can
open.
you send me the audiobook?
I can actually probably put it in an AI thing today and give you a summary of what it does.
Because I'm having trouble sleeping at night.
So I did that with the agritainment and agritourism amendment that we did, and it came out like a podcast, and there was only one part of the whole 15-minute podcast that was not accurate, but the rest of it was spot on of why we were doing it, what it was doing.
Did you use Notebook LM?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
It's
mind-blowing how
yeah.
creepy it
You still gotta be careful.
I did check it though, and that's why I said there was only one section that was not correct.
that's actually a good tool, because you can use your own data and it doesn't,
Yeah, it's not pulling out of other
but
sources.
it's still glitchy.
Correct, and it always. The IA, as my mom calls it, is taking over, so.
All right. Anything else? Moving on to the next item of business being carried. Saldo 2025-005, Jacksonville Road minor subdivision. Plan expires May of this year. We'll have a meeting before that. No action is required by the planning commission. Saldo 2025-006, East Allen Convenience Store and Fueling, Hanover Road. Plan expires May 31st. We have a meeting before that. No action is required by the planning commission. Saldo 2024-004, Sheila Gibb minor subdivision. Plan expires June 30th, 2026. No action is required by the planning commission. Saldo 2023-000, Norwood major subdivision preliminary plan. Plan expires June 30th. No action is required by the commission. Next item, Saldo 2026-001, UGI Bath Regulation Station minor subdivision. Plan expires August 4th, 2026. No action required by the commission. Saldo 2025-003, and there needs to be a space in there. Steuben Road, minor subdivision, plan expired January 31st, 2027, no action required by the planning commission. Saldo 2026-02, should be 002, I would suspect. Jenkins Machine, land development, plan expires, there is no plan expiration.
It was just a sketch plan review,
That's right.
so there's no expiration
No
date because
expiration
it's a
of the
sketch plan.
Yep, right there.
So that'll stay on the business being carried forever?
No, it's gonna get removed. Same with the Delco
Okay,
capital site
thank you.
plan. Yeah.
All right. The next item, Saldo 2026-003, Delco Capital, sketch plan as well. That's gonna get removed?
Correct. Yeah, they've responded preliminarily to the comments made, so at this time, they're still working through them.
All right, and then the last item here that I have is the East Allen Elderly Housing Text Amendment. No action is required. We did have a meeting on this. I thought it was a fairly good meeting. Good direction given, good questions asked, and it's a matter of us waiting for them to come back to us either with an amended text amendment, and we'll go from there. Any questions or comments from anybody on the board about anything?
The only thing I just want to note, I believe the gentleman in the audience was here because there was a project for a zoning amendment request as well as a sketch plan submitted. The applicant requested to be tabled, and it will be on the agenda for the next month. So it was removed off the agenda because they've asked to be tabled, but just so you were wondering why it wasn't there. So next month they will be here.
No, I just wanted to be here just in case.
Yeah.
And it's good to learn about some of these other things.
Sure.
There's a
Thanks
lot of
for
little
being here.
things.
Welcome, glad to have you. This is the place if you wanna know what's going on with the Board of
Yeah, I
Supervisors.
actually served on the planning commission probably about 20 years ago.
Oh, okay, wow.
Then my son got involved in sports. So I always found it interesting.
What's that?
I said I always found it interesting.
Well, if you go to the supervisors, it's almost a done deal at that point. This is where you can,
Make a difference.
yeah, potentially, true. Yep. I tell people that all the time, but you can see people still don't come. All right, gentlemen, so you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Just, one thing, it probably doesn't mean anything, but I will not attend the June meeting,
Okay. Thank you for the heads up.
in case anyone else.
Hopefully you'll be doing something exciting and fun,
I will be in Ketchikan,
which is,
Alaska.
Inside Passage,
okay, cool,
yeah.
outstanding.
Have fun.
Well, catch a can for me.
Yeah, come Got yourself a good rain jacket, too.
I will hope so.
And then hopefully you don't need it.
Oh, that's impossible.
Leaving out of Seattle?
Newark to Seattle to Ketchikan.
Oh, you're actually, oh, okay, you're not on a cruise ship or anything?
No, I'm not taking a cruise. No. I'm going to Juneau and Sitka and
Okay,
Glacier Bay,
Sitka.
we'll be up there.
the Russian capital of, that was Russia's capital when they controlled
Yeah.
Alaska. Anyway, just want to let you know.
All right, I appreciate it.
And with that, I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion on the floor by Tom,
Second?
second by Art. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passed, 5 votes to none.
Yeah. I get to start my class on Tuesday.
Woo-hoo!
Oh, boy.
Which one?
You're gonna
Planning.
you're gonna have class?
Planning.
After that, you're gonna have class?
The planning class starts again. The one that I missed
Yeah.